Hey everyone, I'm Wa.
And I'm Chris. Welcome to Docu Sweeties.
We're two longtime friends who discuss the riveting and sometimes trashy world of reality TV and a docu series.
Yes, but through our own lens, honey, which can be just suddenly balloons, very
Mm-hmm.
celebratory, very exciting,
Mm-hmm.
multicolored, like catches me off guard, throws me for a loop. But at the end of the day, hopefully mildly sweet, like balloons suddenly happening in the middle of our
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
promo. So, hi, how are you? We're super excited to bring you guys something
Mm-hmm.
special in that it's a new show, but also an old show. How do we do it? It's a new old show. It's like the first time that we're going to do, because this is weird, but this is the life we are in now.
Mm-hmm.
Season
Mm-hmm.
2
Mm-hmm.
of a docu-series about one subject that is on a streaming service. This is weird to say, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know if you know. So this is season 2, I don't know why I'm saying it this way, of Curious Case of Natalia Grace, episode 1, Age, Rage, and the Big Lie. And I am now going to have to apologize for the entire first season where I kept calling her Natalie. Natalie Grace. I called her Natalie the entire time, to the point where every time they called her Natalia, I was like, why the fuck didn't I say her name that way the entire? But anyway, Natalia Grace. So here we are. Okay.
Yeah, you owe the entire world a big apology for
I
calling her
know.
Natalie as opposed to Natalia. No, you don't. I mean, that is the English version of, like Natalie from Single Life, who married Mike from Scream. Her name is Natalie in the US, but her mama calls her Natalia.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And
So
then she
it is what
talks
it
back
is.
to her mom. And that's how they talk, yeah.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. You're
Um,
forgiven. You're
okay.
forgiven.
Listen, I feel bad, but we don't. This whole documentary has been like, well, who is right, who's wrong, and who should you feel bad for, and who's crazy. So it's like that's all happening, and it's crazy because they have everyone's likeness, that everyone's being used. You're like, well, who's being taken advantage of, and how much are they getting paid for this, and also what is their stake in it? That's how I want to say this, because this feels incredibly exploitive of her. It has the entire time. The first season was making her out to be a goddamn monster, and now this whole season is supposed to be her redemption, but it still feels like, well, then what's your hand in this? Do you get money from this? Literally, how much money are you getting from this? Because if you're getting like 1 cent, this is not right. But it
Mm-hmm.
starts off on the footage of the last season and its impact on the world and pop culture and social media and people like us. So what they did is they had the audacity
Nerve.
to open the fucking docu-series with a bunch of
Gall.
people reacting,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and none of those people are us.
None.
Look at us.
Rude.
Could you
I mean,
imagine using this footage right now? We're adorable. We're in matching PJs. Look at us with such great opinions. Didn't use any of them for this Fuck you. And
I
also, are they even real? And my thought was, did you just get actors to have these, like, two camera, like, looking like they are commentators? Because I don't even trust your producers to do a moment of research to find
it
people.
was
I
so
really, and
rude.
reach out to them and try and get their
Yeah,
releases. I don't believe it.
absolutely. Chris, let me
Thank you.
just tell you,
Tell me everything.
we we were at
What?
the forefront.
I know.
We were waiting for this to come out. We didn't hear it. We weren't like, ooh, we were waiting for this to come out. So that person that they had on TikTok, do we have to do it on TikTok?
Screw you, ID.
It was wild that they got all of that social media footage and none of it was either Chris nor I.
I'm
Not
sorry.
even a sound bite. It was wild. It was wild for me to see that with my own eyeballs.
I know. And I will tell you this right now. Now, this is the God's
Tell
honest
us.
truth.
Tell us.
You guys know
The truth, nothing but the
that we
truth.
don't that we don't get paid by no media giant,
Absolutely
by
not.
not one show. We get nothing. We are independent.
Mhm.
We are Independence Day with Will Smith. We
Mhm.
are not
Mhm.
getting paid by anyone, not ever, which is why I'll get
Mhm,
everyone's name wrong all the goddamn time because no one's
mhm,
paying me to do this except my own like will. And know
mhm.
this, obviously, if you are someone who wants to pay us, I will get every name right. I will spell it. I will just like I will wear whatever you
We
want me to
will
wear. Like it,
Google.
no, I
Mhm,
will do it. I will do whatever God bless. But no one
mhm.
has your whole this is obviously independent. This is why you as a listener know that you're getting a straight shoot opinion from someone who is not going to ever be biased. And every time you hear me make a mistake, that's a little gift to you that I'm not getting paid.
Exactly. A
Anyway,
straight
having said
shooter
that,
from the hip.
yes, honey. But yeah, that was hard. That was hard as the pill to swallow, and you take it away because I gotta recover from that. I hated that opening.
It's okay.
Fuck you.
So, yeah. Uh, there's a bunch it was just crazy. So, we have a image of the stepmom who talks about that moment when they're in the, courtroom and the moment that Michael doesn't get, he's not found not guilty, and he looks over at the stepmom with the black scent and Natalia, and he smirks at the outcome. And she says, "I would have busted him in his face." But she didn't say it like that because she's a God fearing woman now. She's married to a bishop, but she got 11 kids. I just want you to know that, and one of them is Natalie Grace. This
Yes.
feels Chris wrote that this feels differently produced than season 1.
Absolutely. Like it feels like a completely different group of producers, different graphics, like a different house. It feels like it was cut on a different coast. I mean, yeah, it feels different. I was gonna say, so when she says that about wanting to bust him in his face when he got acquitted, again, is this I can do a little research. I'm gonna ask you this, you might not know the answer. But remember how obviously season one, he had those like highfalutin lawyers?
Mhm.
It's like those he had like that main like, it was, like, 3 I think it was, like, 3 Black American guy lawyers and
Those are
1
still the
young white
lawyers.
guy lawyers.
Yeah,
The
those are
one
still
white
the
guy
lawyers.
was ki yeah, and they were trying to, like, be like, "Okay, well, first of all" I remember, like, there was, like, a scene where, like, "One thing is never call her a child." Just, like, always kind of phrase it as, like, "You mean that 16-year-old human?" You know, like, they didn't wanna ever I can't remember the exact morsel, but it was this
Your
horrible scene.
adoptive your
Yeah,
adoptive
you're
daughter.
yes!
Yeah.
Yes, 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 and so in
But
that so what?
do you also remember in that moment when he's like, "I walked in, Natalia looked at me, and I looked at her, and even though there was nothing to show the emotion on her face, but I knew that we could tell that when we looked at each other, that it was like, I understand you."
He's disgusting.
And I'm just like, "No, you stupid fucking liar, because you had her from age 6 to 11. And all you did was allow a crazy person to abuse her, and then therefore you were accomplice in the abuse. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. In the 5 years that you had her, y'all had her living by herself for 2 of those years. So fuck you and
Mhm.
fuck the chariot that you rode in on." So,
Absolutely.
yeah, fuck
Um,
Michael Barnett.
so we're gonna so we go back into the world. Obviously, Natalia has been living with the stepmother that has a black scent, like Wahama says, and then her father is I mean, she has a that woman is married to a Black American preacher of
Yeah, a bishop,
some kind
don't
of faith.
mhm.
I thought you said bishop, and I guess I was questioning is like bishop of what?
Amant? Just kidding.
Okay, I guess in my mind I'm like too Catholic. In my mind I'm like
Yeah,
Catholics have bishops. Are there bishops in other? This is bishop in
yes.
like a Protestant
A
bishop,
Baptist. There's bishops and Baptists.
a
There's
Baptist bishop.
bishops in other denominations too. Now, where that is in the hierarchy, and if that means that you're bigger than a priest, girl, I don't know, because TD Jakes is a bishop. I don't know what that means. Some folks are bishops, some folks are pastors, some folks are deacons, some folks are just preachers. Now, I don't know if that has to do with whether or not they went to accredited university, and so therefore they have the title of reverend, or if they didn't, or
Oh,
if
that's
they,
great.
like, like maybe within the Catholic Church you join and then you go through, like, I don't know, monastery or whatever, and then maybe you become, I don't know, right? So maybe that's like one thing. But then there's other denominations and maybe they do it a little differently. Maybe you have to go through some kind of vocation, um and some kind of, whatever. I mean, maybe the folks that are in the LDS have to go to Brigham Young and then do something through
Mm.
theology and then go, you know what I mean? So I think maybe certain denominations
Do they
have
run
different things.
districts? Like, an archbishop and the archbishop of a Catholic, diocese runs like a, it's like over he's like a regional manager kind of. So, like,
Yeah,
it's like
so
the management system of the church. So
it
is a bishop
depends.
like a high upper, not a super high, but
I think the Catholic Church is a organization worthy of the title organization.
and a patriarchal. I think it's literally the textbook of a patriarchal organization.
Organization, yeah. Whereas I don't know if like Kojic or AME or if these other types of Christian denominations have. I know AME has like it's pretty solid, but I don't know if your mom and pop little Baptist church down the road has that level of detail the way the Catholic Church would have it. For sure the Catholic Church has it, and God says that as well to me through the iOS. He thumbs it up. So
Oh, I see
like,
what you're
yeah, yeah.
saying.
So like, yeah. So I'm right. Mhm.
No, yeah, no, you're right about everything. But so now we're gonna get a lot of them, and then but there's also some old characters. So now we get, I mean, the blonde news lady from season 1. Her name is Beth Karas, and again, she almost gives me kind of like she is the news reporter in like a 90s movie or sitcom, where she's
The
on it
lawyer.
with she's an I thought she was
No, but she's
blonde
a
news
lawyer.
lady.
No, no.
Well, okay, okay, I
She's
don't know.
she's a lawyer. She's a like she's like an
She
investigative whatever.
journalist, I thought. That's why okay, but Remy, okay. I don't know what she
Legal
does.
analyst. Legal analyst. She's
Yeah,
a
so she
legal
gives
analyst.
investigative, yeah, so she can, but yeah, I think that because of that, she probably does financial, she writes for, like stuff. So anyway, having said that, her energy is like really television worthy. I mean, it's like, and she also feels like she's producing this documentary some way because she's been given the task of the through line. She really is the person that for season, because you cannot hang your hat on Michael Barnett at all. He is the fucking nanas, and every scene you see of him, he looks completely different. Like from one year to the next, he looks like he has gone through like 7 surgeries. You're like, I don't even know if that person's alive still. Is that the same person? I mean, she's the only one that you're like, you seem like you've woken up every day for the past couple of years with like sunlight, like you just don't know. She's the only one, but she's very, television-y, and she's getting the news out, she's getting the third line out, and it's a lot of like, this is where it begins to be where I say too much produced or a little schmaltzy in the production. Well, the verbiage she'll use and they'll use is like, then you won't believe what happened. And you're like, okay, all right, Inside Edition. Like, all right, a current affair. Just you know what I'm saying? It's a little much where you're like, it's already fucking crazy. Like, you don't have to do so much, which, by the way, is not to be tangential, a note as an actor I've been given my whole life. So if I give this woman this note, honey, it's just because I see my own faults. Like, I've been given that note, like, you don't have to do so much. Like, it's already there in the text. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, because the story is crazy. Wildly crazy. So if you give us even more schmaltz on top of it, it's like, I can't. What do you want me to do? I How am
Okay.
I going to take it in? Yes,
I
your
see what
opinion.
you're saying, but I
Thank you.
do think that it's the same, maybe it's a different producer, but it's the same cameraman, and it's the same people roaming around. Maybe they just like nominated somebody else to step into the director's chair. It's the same crew because this Beth, the legal analyst, she's sitting in the same spot. So they've already got her number. And they cut
You're
her
not wrong.
they cut up her segments in a different way in this one. So I feel like it's a different director or something. Someone is in the cutting room, so a different editor. There's someone somewhere doing something a little different. So you're right. But she's definitely more of a front player. It's less of Michael's anecdotal stories and or less of them poking a hole in Michael's story because they allowed Michael to be the narrative the narrator this for the first 4 episodes of last season until the end, where then they started poking holes in all of his stories. And let me tell you, they literally blow cannon holes through his story in this, at least the first 2 episodes of this season.
Mhm.
So we have April 2023. Natalia's older. She walks to her wheelchair, which is like, obviously set up and staged in the middle of this space so that we are able to see her walk in and her feet and see her disability. And she sits down. She's wearing a dress and she's looking cute. And then they ask her, like, how old are you? And some questions. She's like, I wish I knew. And they're like, tell us about the story. And she's like, listen, my story is like 1,000-piece puzzle, and I only have 300 pieces, which is such a very specific and poignant way of placing this, because it gives the viewer a visual of like how her life is and what she's been dealing with. So she immediately starts talking about how the Barnetts kind of picked up her story from the movie Orphan, how she's from another country, and how her age is different, and like certain plots from that movie that they have attached to her.
Have you seen
And
it, by the way? I never
mm-mm.
seen that movie.
Yeah, certain tropes of horror I cannot watch. I watched The Bad Seed growing up, and it forever scarred me to watch little children be like psychopaths. I can't watch little children be psychopaths.
I
So
love it. That's so funny.
we jump back to Cynthia Mann, who is her stepmother, who had 11 children. And Cynthia Mann says that uh Natalia is a light and a joy to the family. We find out that she's now in this super Christian family. There's lots of kids, there's lots of hugs. In fact, they like unleash the gates and let these children just come upon her and give her hugs and kisses. And it's a really weird and unnecessary scene that just made me go, Jeremy's, kish, Jeremy's, too many children. Because when I saw Cynthia Mann folding up all them fucking clothes, it just gave me anxiety. It's too much.
Yeah, it's like, again, in season 1, there were scenes where it's almost okay. In season 1, they had accused Natalia of being inappropriate with children, being or being older than and playing young and kind of playing with kids, like a bunch of crazy shit. Which is horrible, which is why this feels crazy. So now to see her in this thing and a bunch of kids running towards her, it's like they want to showcase how
Show.
loving and that she's not this way. So, but
Yeah.
it's still, none of it is still like, oh, what a fun thing to watch. Every moment of it's kind of like, oh,
Yeah, it is very much that. So then we go to Beth, who is the legal analyst, and she's like, "This I've dealt with a lot of cases that have a lot of twists and turns and mayhem." She's like, "This case, lots of mayhem, just like so much mayhem." Then we go to the police officer who was first kind of tipped off that something might be different about Natalie Grace, because this is when Natalie Grace was in like shithole Lafayette, Indiana, where Christine dropped her off on the second floor where she'd be by herself and nobody cared about her. And this is where Cynthia Mann first saw her kind of just roaming the streets by herself. She was going to an adult learning center, and the people at the adult learning center were like, she's not an adult. Like, she's acting like a child.
mm-hmm,
And so this officer was called out and was like, hey, how old are you? They noticed that her backpack was bigger than her. And they're like, do you feel 22? And she's like, no, I don't. And then we cut to her just talking about the fact that the only reason why she ever said she was 22 and, she regrets it was because Christine made her say she was 22 years old.
mm-hmm,
And that was her mother at the time. And so that's why she said she was 22.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So,
mm-hmm.
yeah, so,
Yeah. It's just, this is one other thing is that so far, I haven't watched all these new 4 episodes. And obviously, Christine was talked about in season 1. We've never talked to Christine ever. And so it's hard sometimes to just have someone be like villainized and or said crazy things and then just never hear from them. With again, season 1 of Christine, Michael had showed us like a bunch of racy photos and stuff like that, people had accused Christine of trying to sell Natalia to them sexually. There's like Christine is going, and obviously Natalia is going to accuse Christine of really horrible shit too. It's just, and we'll never hear from that person. All we'll see is pictures. So, and or unless they're saving it for the end of episode 4. Now, I'm gonna tell you this right now, listeners. If you are in the social media world, they have been teasing something Bananarama's happening at this end of season 4. The one thing they wanted to like at first tease us is, well, we're gonna have a DNA thing to see how old Natalia actually is or whatever. And so like one, I guess, little tidbit is like, well, how old is she actually is? We'll talk about that is. And then because we know that part. And then at the end, there is something we don't know yet. I don't know yet, at least, because we haven't watched it. So
You
you might
said
know.
you said season 4. You mean episode 4?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
I do. Episode 4, season 2. And I'm saying this because just now I said there's no Christine, and what if she had, you'll know that if I'm wrong, it's because I don't know that yet. Anyway, I'm not, or anything. Okay, so basically the sheriff is talking to his friend. He's like, have you ever had someone look and sound like that and pretend to be like old? Like that doesn't make any sense. This person is young. It's interesting. In this documentary, people will vacillate back and forth between being like, no, I swear to God, she's like sounded super mature. And then people will be like, it was obviously a baby. Like it's crazy. Like, and it actually goes to show you how fucked up perception is and how many different stories and narratives can happen from one present moment just based on how people take in things. Now, with Natalia, we're dealing also with someone who the sight of this person isn't as like hard pinned as being a certain age because she has different bodies than women we're always seeing around. Anyway, so the sheriff, having had this or whatever, like bringing this to his attention, it starts a chain of events for, well, it's been okay, I'm sorry, it insi- instigates, no, not insinuates,
Uh,
it
it
ignites? I'm gonna say ignites.
ignites. Yeah.
It ignites, the next part of the final, like, part of her of getting them out of, the Barnett's care, because remember up until this, there had been, like, child protective services that had, like, followed Natalia up to her being here, but, like, for some reason, it hadn't gotten anywhere. She had already been in another neighboring town where, like, people would, or a neighboring village apartment complex that people were already weirded out, like, she had been moved here. Remember
Yeah,
that?
I mean, but yes, but also remember the neighbors across the street who were, like, annoyed with her and would hide from her,
Yes.
and now we realize that she was, like, fucking 8 years old and just needed some friends. And 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 it breaks my heart, and I can only imagine that once they watch this and realize that the person that was bothering them and the person that they all thought was so malicious and was doing all this stuff and was actually a child who was just left to their own devices at, like, 7 or 8 years old, or, like, not 8 or 9 years old, and then they were annoyed by this person because they thought that they were just like being a user or whatever, but they were just incredibly lonely and by themselves and their parent had abandoned them. Also,
Abused them. Christine had
abuse
abused her.
pepper spray. So we find out about the pepper spray. We find out that she sprayed her with pepper spray and like that Michael didn't do anything to stop it. And that even Michael's story about the fact that they had no idea where she came from, they'd never met the Chaconies, is a lie. And it's just like I mean, it's just the saddest story of somebody who had so much happen to them in 5 years. It's crazy. So like she blows it out of the water. Michael lied. Beth, the lawyer, was like, "Yeah, we don't know why Michael lied about that." We find out that Christine immediately, when she realized that I don't know whatever it is that she wanted Natalia to do, wasn't doing it, and then so started this campaign about like, "Oh, don't you think she's a little? Isn't she older?" Like immediately, kind of started this campaign of like setting doubt in people's minds, like around her regarding Natalia Grace. Um,
Yeah. One big question is like they make it seem like Christine becomes obsessed with the idea that she is older. And she has direct proof. I mean, like, it's just like I can't tell at first. I'm like, is this a psychopath that just like told herself a delusional thing and then won't let the truth, derail her belief, like, or is this a manipulative person that decided this is the one way to get out of her responsibility? I mean,
It's so weird. Also, why didn't so then we also end up finding that the Chaconies, who were her first adoptive parents when she came to the US, who took her from Ukraine or adopted her from a Ukraine orphanage, they had been like courting three different little people families to be able to take Natalia. And it all seemed kind of shady, but like above ground or whatever, because they were like, well, why does it cost so much? And like, why are you trying to come to us? Like, just because she's a little person, like, why don't you take her? Like, what's going on? So there was already that, and I can only imagine what maybe little people couples have to deal with people who don't want little, I don't know. There must be something nefarious going on with that, to where they were even suspicious to begin with. But it turns out that this family wanted to adopt Natalia, that this family had spent holidays with Natalia. Natalia was really happy and used to them. But then something happened with the Chaconies where they thought that this family had called the police on them. And so then they like decided that, well, we're not going to let you fucking adopt her. So fuck you. And they stopped the adoption for her to go with this family who was perfect for her, who they had already put so much time and energy into, and then decided to just give her or let her be adopted by the Barnetts. And it's just
you're
like, you're an asshole.
there's so much weirdness about this. When she was with the Draconi, she got there. She was so excited. She had a like pink room. She was like, "This is it. They have kids." She's like, "This is great." She's playing with a kid one day, and she hurts the kid. The kid's crying, and the dad comes in, and the dad like yells at her. She's a child too, and then she's like, "I hate you." And then from that moment, she's like, "He never like forgave me, or he was weird for me, or he just like he just didn't he wasn't able as a parent or as an adult to like rub that or like to have that not be a thing, and then treated her weirdly because of it. And I guess it festered in such a way that, yeah. So again, as Wahama said, they had interviewed this other couple, and the other couple had a child, and that child I think was named Mariah, and she just loved the daughters, like loved each other. Just like her and Natalia had played, they had hung out multiple times. So now when the Barnetts come in, the Barnetts meet her once the day they bring her home.
Yeah.
Like, the disparity in how the other family had, like, learned and, like, come and to understand Natalia, and they're a little family all the way, God bless, and Natalia, of course, has a little personness about her, and so the Barnetts are not little, like, maybe little in morale, like, more morality, but, like, you would think that they would need some time to also yeah, adopt anyone, just come to grips with that. And then I feel bad because Natalia seems to say, "I wish I had given that more time." And I wanna be like, did Natalia have a choice? Was
No.
Natalia just like a little orphan Annie, just like, "Anyone that'll bring me home, I'm happy about it," and so she just had to so anyway, this is another crazy situation. So then they take her home, right? They go to Disney World, like, 2 weeks later, they fucking see the Draconis. She's like, "Oh my god, there's my mom." And Christine's like, "That's not your mom. I'm your mother now." Like, just that fucking, "I'm the captain now."
Yeah. And
The
it's like,
night Yeah.
how are they even at Disney World at the same time? Disney World is big, no? So how do you run into them? Did they set some shit up? Were they exchanging monies? Like, what's going on? Have you ever been to Disney World? I haven't, but Disneyland is big enough for me.
Disneyland is very small to me. Disney World is huge to me. I've only been to Disney World once when I was very, very young. Disneyland feels I mean, I've been there too many times. I was like, I feel like I've been to Disneyland where I've seen people all the time at Disneyland. But anyway, that's just me.
Wait. But when you okay, go ahead.
I don't know. I'm a bad person to ask. But anyway, God bless. Yeah, so you're right. That is a great question though, because like I think that Disney World is huge. There's like Epcot Center, there's like all the other things. But yeah, I think that it's hard to see anyone. You're actually right. Okay, so that also happens, and then that night supposedly is the night of fucking pubic hair. So season one, we had this story, and then now we're gonna hear it again, which is basically Christine's bathing her new, adopted daughter, baby daughter, after a day run around Disneyland with the churro fingers. I mean, I don't know, Disney World. I mean, I'm assuming Disney World has all the yummy things that Disneyland has, like churros, sticky fingers, like popcorn in the thing. And then as she takes the little panties down, she sees pubic hair. Now, she makes it seem, like Christine and Michael of season 1 made it seem like they took off this baby's diaper and there was 70s full porn bush hair. When we were like, "Whoa!" And like literally the hair, the pubes like came at her, and like Christine had to like, like get a fucking chainsaw and then whack it away to get at the
Yeah.
baby. Like that's what they made it seem like.
Yeah. And she was like, Michael!
Michael comes in and is like,
Michael comes in
"I
and
can't
like,
open the door. It's too much hair."
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And then Christine is like, and then Michael's like, and then they're like together. And I mean, and so, but she's like, I don't even remember it. She's like, I don't remember him coming in. And like, maybe I did have it, like, but girls get it. I don't even remember it until I was like 9, and some girls get it. And it happens, and it's just like crazy that is like what she remembers from this time that is really settling. This is the beginning of the she's an adult conversation for at least Michael's perspective when he tells the story.
Yeah.
So then we see pictures from the family who she got really close with, the little people family, the Chiccones didn't let adopt her, and we see that her teeth, she loses her teeth like normal little children do. And Christine, when her teeth actually falls out, Christine accuses her of just like being some kind of super person at that age, be it 6, 7, or 22, of pulling a tooth out in order to, I don't know, prove some kind of point, prove that she's a
Yeah.
child. And so she's like, I didn't pull my tooth out. And she's like, yes, you did. And I'm thinking of myself like as a 22-year-old, like with pliers, trying to like, with a person with a hand that is dexterous. And we know that Natalie Grace's hand isn't dexterous. Pulling a tooth out.
It's crazy.
It's crazy what she's done. And so then we have this Jackie Starbuck saying that she's a prosecuting attorney.
Sorry, but
And
her
when she
name.
said her name was Starbuck, I was like, girl, oh, poor you. Poor you.
Change
But
that
anyways,
name. Change that
she says,
name.
yeah, she
I
says
mean,
that
unless you are the Starbuck family, you're just making so much money. I mean, like the Waltons, but like even Waltons don't go by, Walmart
so she says
or
that
Walmarts. Sorry.
she says that she promises a bunch of truths that we haven't heard. We haven't heard them yet. And so then we find out there's a lie about the adoption agency. They lie
Yeah, wait.
about not having any medical
That's the
records.
point. I'm sorry. Yes, it annoys me when she says that because I'm like, bitch, we have a lot of drama and spectacle here. You don't have to like give us like sensational dialogue. Like you don't need to make this more sensational. It gives me pause to respect this documentary and or make me feel happy in covering it if you're trying to sensationalize something that is already crazy. Okay? Sorry, go on.
Yeah. But the craziest thing for me is that in season 1, it was like, how old is she? We don't know. Oh my God, we don't know. There's no tests in the world. This modern medicine of 2020, fucking whatever. We can't tell how old somebody is. I mean, sure, we can tell how old that fucking fossil in Africa is. We can tell that there are about 2000 million BC, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But we can't tell how much an alive person is right now that had some kind of documentation. We don't have any way of telling. Cut to this dentist.
Mm-hmm.
This dentist that Christine took Natalia to and says, hey, how old is she? Like, can you tell by the dentist record? He's like, absolutely, I can. Adult teeth look different than baby teeth. So let me sit her right here and let's take some x-rays. And so he does. He tells Christine, this is un bebe. She has all of her adult teeth still in here hanging out, ready to come out. Don't you trip. This person is 8 or 9 years old. This is a child. And Christine goes, oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yep.
As she rips up that document that says how old that person is, throws it into the fire. and then
Yep.
continues her narrative that she does not know how old Natalie Grace is. And then when the producers tell that doctor, they're like, "Oh, did you know that after you spoke with Christine, like a week later, she went and had her re-aged?" And they're like, he's like, "Oh, to what? To 22." He's like, "What?"
Chris Christine, so this is why we're like, Christine, what the fuck? Because yeah, she rips it up, marches over to that nosy neighbor from season one. Not like, yeah, okay. Again, there is the investigative journalist woman, financial, whatever, legal analyst. That is one person, and there's also was the nosy neighbor. There's the nosy neighbor that knew something was up but didn't want to deal with anything, as opposed to the old lady neighbor who was just like, you can't, you have to lock your screen door now, like, but there was the other nosy neighbor, and she is the one that was like, yeah, Christine said that she didn't have any baby teeth. So
Yeah.
So Christine, in cognizance, was like, okay. Again, whether this person is a delusional, like space aliens are coming down to get her, and she's like, she's an old person, even like, and doesn't understand that a human doctor told her that. I think that's hard to believe because again, Christine already had 3 kids, so she's been seeing little boys, which happens the same as little girls, lose teeth all day long, and she knows what baby teeth look like, like. And by the way, yeah, sometimes teeth when they come out have the root attached or whatever, and some don't. Like, I don't know if it's like your ones in the front don't or the bottom ones do. Like, so one thing that Christine tried to like accuse Natalia of being like, no, you did rip it out of your mouth because there's a root attached. It's like, it, it's crazy to me that to think that she doesn't understand that there's variance in human bodies, especially if she decided to like, adopt a baby that like has some variance in human bodies. And so like, it's crazy to me that she wouldn't understand that, like, oh, pubes can happen differently on people, like, like boobs happen differently on people, like the
Stop
hormone.
trying to put yourself in the brain of a crazy person.
Yeah, well, her name is
This is
Christine.
this is okay, you're right. Oh, hey. So, people in this world
Christine,
are named.
Christine. Sorry, it's wrong. Family fan.
No, that's fine. People in this world, as I said, there are people who are named certain things for different reasons. And I'm gonna start taking stock and note of the Christines that I come across in my life to see if there is a pattern, just like there might be a pattern for anybody named Earl.
Well, all right. Well, then I really can't wait to find all the many different Wahamas and be able to really judge you all together, like, and you better, I'll tell you right now, you better be the better ones. Like,
It's
by the way, if I
me.
meet a bunch of you guys and you're a shitty one, I'm gonna be really
No, it's
pissed.
only me and a plant, as far as I know.
Aw.
If someone has decided to name their child Wahima, hit me up. Let's talk about it. Let me tell you the
Yeah.
origins of the name. If you're not Garifuna. Anyway, so you guys, that's the end of this episode. We end on what is true dynamics
Oh yeah, no,
information?
yeah. So this is what let me tell you the end of the episode. Okay.
Okay.
So basically what happens is after again, this dentist is like, this bitch was 6 to 8 or whatever. It's not eight. He's like, I think she's, I don't know, let's just say like somewhere between 6 and 9. I forgot, whatever. He at that moment, the producers of this docuseries, I feel like, we're like, you know what also we can do? We can probably get a bunch of money from some dumb company. And then at the end of episode 1, have another like DNA test and make sure that we like age her in the present. So they keep showing us that there's a company called True Diagnostics. And what Natalia does is she gets her dad now to prick her like what you do like for diabetes testing, a little drop of blood on, a piece of paper that they're then bring to the diagnostic center. And I'll be like, why don't you just do it there? Okay. But this is because you want to show us you can do a home kit. Okay, God bless. A different, okay.
Mhm.
So then they do it, right? And then every outside B shot of the building, it all says the name. That's why I'm like, you
Yeah.
fucking got $100,000 for this? Like, this docuseries again is on ID, so it's made for nothing. Like, again, we're deciding to do episode 1 of this docuseries, I guess, as opposed to Gypsy Rose, which is probably better and bigger. But anyway, we'll do it all for you. Maybe we'll see. Anyway, God bless. So basically, at this True Diagnostics, it's uh Natalia, it's her dad, and it's revealed that she now is like either 22 or 20, something like that or whatever. And she cries with her dad. Her dad and her cry, because of the abuse and the horribleness that she's had to endure. And there obviously is truth there. Like, she obviously had to endure horribleness. And I will say that at this moment, I can hang my hat on the fact that Michael Barnett should be in prison for the rest of his life. And
Oh,
I'm not saying Christine shouldn't, but I need something else. Like, I haven't been privy to a court case, or haven't heard her story yet. I don't
yeah.
know.
Yeah, Michael Burnett definitely for the gall, the audacity,
Well, the performance. I mean,
the
if
gumption.
it wasn't even Natalia Grace, like, if we took her out of this complete, if he was just a man roaming this earth, even the energy that he displayed in season 1, if it was about anything else, he should go to prison for, like, what I had to watch, which
Yeah.
is a crazy fucking banshee man. I mean,
Mhm.
like, lie through his teeth about whatever it
Mhm.
is, and then put on, like, a one-man show. And I was doing a one-person show at that time, and I can't even tell you how scarring it was. I couldn't even do my show. I'd, like, literally had a second guess if I should go on stage, because I'm like, I can't just, like, go out in this world if this man's doing this too. I can't be in the same world. I can't even be on the same earth. It's very hard for me, like, he is.
I said, Natalia, we have to get out of here. And I said, Christine, what you're doing is wrong. I swear on my son's life that I had to do with this. Christine is an abuser. She abused me. She abused our sons. And she abused Natalia. I didn't know. No.
I
Thank you.
hate how much. Why do you look so
Thank you.
much like him? It's like you
Thank
do
you.
this thing with your, like, I don't know. It's like your neck or something, that I don't know why you think your neck. I don't know how you got your neck to look like him. I just wish you. I
Thank
mean,
you.
like, I don't know how I'm gonna go to bed. I'm mad.
Thank you. Do you
Too
see his
late.
mutton chops? Oh, this man, the audacity. The
I
mutton chops.
Where is Christine? Where is she? What's I listen, I will. I'll do. I mean, you know me, I'm gonna have to do as much research as possible to find out where the fuck this bitch has been. Like, I mean, is she just underneath in the Phantom's lair, just running around singing by herself somewhere? I don't know. I don't know. I'll tell you. That is the end.
Christine. Okay, thank you.
Except for
So,
this. One thing is this. I think you were talking about episode 2, but we are teased, though, at the top of this episode, and it's going to then happen, I think, in episode 2, with the fact that we're going to have a Natalia Michael Barnett showdown.
oh yeah. Yeah,
Be like
yeah,
a Western.
yeah. Mhm.
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Anything else?
Mhm. No, that's it.
I just in tumbleweed.
Yeah.
Okay, so anything else?
No, that's it. If you want to help your girls out, you will join us on patreon.com/docusweeties at $10 a month. Yeah, if you can't do that, Chris will show you what you can do for free.
I know what I for free.
Mhm.
But this is what you do. You open your social medias, go to Instagram and type in at DocuSweeties, and then go to TikTok and put at DocuSweeties, and then put I don't know. I don't know. Are you on X?
No, don't go to there. Let's just get off of Twitter, shall we?
I mean, I don't know. God bless. I can understand how that. I know, but Facebook. There's a DocuSweeties podcast Facebook group, and listen, we are a small but mighty community, and we want you in. We want you into the ground floor, honey. Like,
Mhm,
this
mhm,
is our cult MLM. We've talked about
mhm,
that, and you
mhm,
can,
mhm,
just join us $10 a month and be in that
mhm,
ground floor. That means that
mhm,
we get peons underneath you. You start making money. Just kidding. No, you don't. Anyway, we love you guys. Thank you so much. Give us 5 stars. You better.
mhm.